Strike on Russian refinery in Kstovo. Russian army command rapidly forms unmanned systems forces, and how Romania scrambles F-16s in response to Russian drone attack on Ukraine. That is news next. On the night of January 29th, UAVs successfully attacked the Lukoil oil depot in Kstovo, Nizhny Novgorod region, Russia. All 4 drones reached their targets, RBC Ukraine reports, referring to its sources in Ukraine's defense intelligence. The oil depot was hit around midnight local time. Eyewitnesses reported hearing at least 3 explosions at the facility. Meanwhile, sources confirmed 4 strikes on the oil depot's territory. As a result of the attack, the facility sustained significant damage as all 4 drones successfully hit their targets. According to Andriy Kovalenko, head of the Center for Countering Disinformation, the targeted oil depot has the capacity to progress 15 to 17 million tons of crude oil annually, making it the 4th largest in Russia. Ukrainian expert emphasized its strategic importance to the enemy's army. Kovalenko also added that the facility produces gasoline, diesel, aviation kerosene, bitumen. About strikes on Russian oil depots, Ukraine has been actively targeting oil refineries in Russia using drones and other means. These attacks have significantly reduced fuel production volumes, which in turn impacts the logistics and military economy of the aggressor country. These strikes are part of a strategy of attrition aimed at undermining Russia's ability to finance the war and meet military supply needs. At the same time, Ukraine demonstrates its capability to conduct long-range operations, forcing Moscow to engage resources for air defense and the protection of critical infrastructure. And then Ukraine's General Staff confirms strike on Russian refinery in Kstovo. Units of Ukraine's defense intelligence, in cooperation with other components of the defense forces, successfully attacked an oil refinery in Kstovo, Nizhny Novgorod region of Russia, on the night of January 29th, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The refinery is involved in supplying the Russian occupation army. After the drone attack, there was a large fire at the facility. As you see, the extent of the damage is currently being assessed. The combat operations against strategic facilities involved in supporting Russia's armed aggression against Ukraine will continue, the General Staff added. The Russian Armed Forces Command has begun actively creating unmanned systems forces. However, the success of these efforts will depend on the willingness to carry out the necessary reforms and the availability of required resources, reports the American Institute for the Study of War. The report states that the Russian military has likely formed a separate unmanned systems regiment at the military district level to enhance the capabilities of unmanned systems. The creation of this regiment aligns with the recent coordinated efforts by the Russian Ministry of Defense to establish unmanned systems forces within the Russian armed forces and to centralize control over informal drone units. The Ukrainian volunteer project Victory Drones, which trains drone operators, reported in April 2024 that the Russian military command is completing the formation of the 7th Separate Unmanned Systems Reconnaissance Strike Regiment within the Central Military District. The regiment consists of 1,342 personnel and was 94% staffed as of April 2024. Victory Drones noted that the regiment is trained at the Russian 473rd District Training Center and consists of common staff, a strike drone battalion, 3 reconnaissance strike drone battalions, and logistics units such as communications, medical, and repair teams. The project also stated that the Russian Army Command plans to form 102 subordinate units within their 7th Separate Unmanned Systems Reconnaissance Strike Regiment of Reconnaissance Drone Systems, with 41 being strike units and 61 being reconnaissance units. Several Russian volunteer groups initiated crowdfunding for the 7th Separate Unmanned Systems Reconnaissance Strike Regiment started in July 2024. This regiment operates in the occupied areas of the Zaporizhia region. When will the formation of the drone army be completed? Russian military bloggers observed throughout the fall of 2024 that the Russian Ministry of Defense began reorganizing informal drone units and other specialists, such as communication officers, medics, and engineers, into unified technical battalions.
The Russian MOD also announced that it formed an unspecified number of unmanned systems detachments by October 2024 via the Rubicon Center for Prospective Unmanned Technologies and announced the formation of 5 additional unmanned systems.
Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov later announced that the ministry would complete the formation of unmanned systems forces within the Russian armed forces by the third quarter of 2025. According to military analyst Konrad Muzika, recent organizational changes within the Russian armed forces and the formation of drone units suggest that similar regiments could emerge in other military districts in the future.
Russian forces will likely gain augmented drone support capabilities should the Russian MOD successfully form these new unmanned systems regiments and centralize its procurement efforts under the unmanned systems forces, although the success of this effort will depend on the Russian military's commitment to executing the necessary reforms and the availability of resources.
The ISW report also cited statements from Russian presidential assistant and former secretary of the Security Council Nikolai Patrushev. He mentioned the work of an unspecified Russian Navy center focused on developing new types of naval drones that will utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning. On the night of January 29th, Russia launched 57 drones and an Iskander-M ballistic missile against Ukraine. Air defense managed to destroy 29 drones, according to the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. During the attack, they launched 57 attack unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs of the Shahed type, and imitation drones from the directions of the Russian cities of Kursk, Mirovo, Primorsk-Akhtarsk, and the temporarily occupied Crimea, and an Iskander-M ballistic missile from Crimea. The following forces were involved in repelling the attack: anti-aircraft missile troops, electronic warfare units, mobile fire groups of the Air Force, and the Defense Forces of Ukraine. As of 9 a.m. approximately Kiev time, it was confirmed 29 drones have been shot down in Kiev, Kharkiv, Sumy, Poltava, and a number of other regions. 14 fake drones were lost locally without negative consequences. Mykolaiv, Odessa, Kharkiv, Kiev, and Sumy regions were affected by the enemy attack, the Air Force added. Romania scrambled F-16 fighter jets on the night of the 28th to 29th of January in response to a Russian drone attack on Ukraine, including areas near the Romania border, reported by Romania's Defense Ministry. Romanian monitoring systems detected drones approaching the Ukrainian airspace near the Romanian border. The ministry reported that 2 Romanian Air Force F-16s, part of the Air Policy and Combat Service, took off from the 86 air base in Borcha to monitor the situation in the air at around 3:20 on Thursday. The planes returned to base about 2 hours later.
At the same time, the National Military Command Center, CORE, notified the General Inspectorate for Emergency Situations regarding the establishment of measures to alert the population in the Chilia-Vech area. As a result, a RO alert message was sent at 3:05, and at 4:08, the cessation of alert measures in the targeted area was declared.
Radar intelligence data confirmed that no air targets had entered Romanian airspace.
The Ministry of National Defense will today conduct research in areas where risks may arise as a result of these situations and will continue its airspace monitoring missions. Allied structures are also informed in real time with regard to the situations generated by these attacks.
Additionally, the Ministry of National Defense issued a firm condemnation of the Russian Federation's attack on Ukrainian civilian facilities and infrastructure, calling them unjustified and a serious breach of international law. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.